Good morning. We promised a financial report to the congregation at the end of the third quarter. We had our finance meeting this past Wednesday evening to review the current situation. First, thanks to everyone for your generous support of our congregation. Without your loving support, we would be in the exciting position that we are in today, moving forward in our call to love God and our neighbor. We have some challenges, but there is good news to share. First, our pledge contributions are close to what was pledged and are within $4,000 at the end of the third quarter. And most of us are up to date on our pledges. If you're planning to pay your pledge as a lump sum in December, especially if you're making it from an IRA, that's great. Please let Jennifer know what you're planning to do, and that will be a big help to us as we forecast year end. Oh, and by the way, if you are over 70, you can make a donation to the church directly from your IRA. In that way, it will count towards your RMD, but should not be considered taxable income. Mark or Bruce can help you with that, and please be sure to check with your financial or tax advisor. The other good news is that because we have continued to keep a lid on expenses, we are $13,000 under budget to date. And that's with going through our entire maintenance budget by year end, by the mid-year, because of several necessary large repairs and a 25% increase to our property and liability insurance. Our expenses have been cut as far as we can without affecting our programs and without affecting our staff. Churches don't grow by reducing spending on ministries. We've done our best to hold down expenses, and our pledge income is close to being on target, and that's great. Problem is, we haven't seen the growth that we had hoped for, and that's why we started the Close the Gap campaign. To date, we have had $10,600 donated to the Close the Gap campaign. That means because of the savings in expenses, good pledge payments, and our Close the Gap campaign, we have reduced the deficit from earlier this year to about $33,000 at this point. And that's the gap we need to cover, if possible, by the end of the year. Last year, we had a really good December and ended the year with a small deficit. We hope to make that same type of progress again this year, but the Finance Committee really does want to address this sooner rather than later. Our prayer is that God will grant us a successful Close the Gap and a good December, which will help us to rebuild our savings. Our goal is a balanced or close to balanced budget for 2024, and for God, all things are possible. So our focus over the next 2 months is to correct the situation for the end of this year, and starting in Advent, we'll address funding for next year with our pledge campaign. The Finance Committee will make a report that states what we need to keep our parish growing and on track to maintain and grow our ministries for a healthy church. If you want to see detailed financial information, please feel free to ask Bruce or Mark or myself. Finally, in Mark's sermon today, we heard about the story of the rich young man who was possessed by his own possessions, and of little Paulo, who understood generosity in a very special way. St. Ignatius in the Suscipe, the prayer that Mark read at the end of the sermon, offers to give all to God. Like Jesus asked the rich young man, because Ignatius knows that all we have comes from God, and we give it back to him. We're not asking you to give all, but what we are asking is that you pray and consider what you can do to help and maintain the vital ministries of St. Paul's Church. We have a great parish, and are finally turning the corner after the setbacks of COVID. Through the grace of God, our parish will respond. Thank you for all that you do and your support of St. Paul's Parish.